What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your $1,400 third stimulus check update and stimulus package update. We have breaking news, crazy news, actually. In fact, two different sets of crazy news, one of which will directly impact the third stimulus check package. And we're going to go over what the scenarios are and everything. And in fact, we're going to jump right into it because we have a lot to cover. And it's actually not what I would have expected. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on updates on the third stimulus check package, and hit the like button for us. It really helps out our channel. Okay, first up, the U.S. has announced that they have officially carried out an airstrike targeting Syrian military structures. This has actually already happened. As you can see here, the U.S. military struck a site in Syria today used by two Iranian-backed militia groups following rocket attacks on American forces in the region in the past 2 weeks, according to a U.S. official. This marks the first military action under President Joe Biden. Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby said that the strikes took place, quote, at President Biden's direction and were authorized not just to respond to recent attacks against Americans and coalition forces, but to deal with, quote, ongoing threats to those personnel. The Pentagon spokesman, Kirby, said that Biden conducted the strikes after consulting with U.S. allies, including coalition partners. The spokesperson goes on to say, quote, specifically, the strikes destroyed multiple facilities located at a border control point used by a number of Iranian-backed militant groups. Quote, the operation sends an unambiguous message. President Biden will act to protect American coalition personnel. At the same time, we have acted in a deliberate manner that aims to de-escalate the overall situation in both Syria and Iraq. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says, quote, we will respond in a way that's calculated on our timetable and using a mix of tools seen and unseen. What we will not do, and what we've seen in the past, is lash out and risk an escalation that plays into the hands of Iran by further destabilizing Iraq, and that is our priority. And if that wasn't enough, actually a very shocking decision. I was not expecting this. I figured that the Senate parliamentarian would probably just say, yeah, the $15 an hour minimum wage hike, it's okay to be in the bill, especially because the Democrats provided some, quote, proof that it did affect the budget. But the Senate parliamentarian, Elizabeth McDonough, ruled today, we just got this information a little bit ago, $15 minimum wage will not be allowed in the third stimulus package bill, or maybe I should say that it will not be allowed to be passed through the reconciliation process, which is at this point the only way they're going to pass this bill. So what does this mean? The Senate parliamentarian has ruled that a minimum wage hike, whether it's $10 or $15 an hour, cannot be included in the budget reconciliation process, which is the process that they're passing this bill with. Basically, the process that says you only need 51 votes in the Senate. So we don't have any Republican votes or Republican people in the Senate voting for the third stimulus check package. So that's the only way to pass the bill at this point. So what does this mean? And what does this mean going forward? Well, there's a couple scenarios. Number one is that the House of Representatives is literally set to vote on the third stimulus check package tomorrow. You might actually be watching this the video on Friday morning. They're literally set to vote on this, if you're watching this in the morning, today. Okay, so it's going to be kind of crazy because the third stimulus check package bill currently has the $15 an hour minimum wage clause in the third stimulus check package bill, and they're planning on voting on it on Friday, which is either tomorrow or today, whether you're watching this in the morning or late at night. So this throws a definite curveball to everything that is happening right now. So let's go over the scenarios of what this means. So the Senate parliamentarian basically says, no, you can't put a minimum wage bill in a bill that is going to pass with reconciliation process. Okay, that will include it as a standalone bill. So if they take this bill out, try to pass it as a standalone bill, they're going to need 60 votes. Okay. She's basically saying you can't pass this bill with the budgetary reconciliation process, the reconciliation card. The minimum wage does not fit the criteria for this process. That's what she's ruled. Okay. So here's what's gonna the scenarios of what can happen. Okay, we had seen some information earlier in the week that they were possibly preparing a version of the bill without the minimum wage hike. Okay, so it's very possible that they basically could just delete that section of the bill, 50 pages, 25 pages, whatever it is. Literally just go in the computer, delete those pages, reprint it off, and vote on it tomorrow without the minimum wage hike. Okay. I think that's probably the most likely scenario. But the other thing is that if we know anything about Congress, they don't like to lose. Whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans, neither side likes to lose. So there's a possibility that the Democrats can try to pass this even with it in there. So they can actually overrule the Senate parliamentarian in the Senate with 51 votes. And the Democrats have 51 votes, but the problem is that there's 2 to 3 Democrats that do not want this in the bill. They don't think it should be in the bill, and or they don't think that $15 an hour minimum wage should happen. We've seen several, such as Senator Joe Manchin's the main proponent, and Kirsten Sinema. Joe Manchin, for example, thinks $15 an hour is too much. Current federal minimum wage is $7.25, going to $15 an hour, even though it's over the course of 5 years, 4 to 5 years, to over 2025, that more than doubles the minimum wage in the course of 4 to 5 years. Senator Joe Manchin thinks it should be $11 an hour, and the Republicans think we have a counter proposal from the Republicans, Mitt Romney and Tom Cotton, that for $10 an hour minimum wage. So the Democrats could try to pass this with overruling the Senate parliamentarian, but I don't know if they'll even do that. And I don't know if they would complete it if they did do that. Number one is we've seen White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain saying that they won't overrule the parliamentarian. He said this a day or two ago. They won't overrule the parliamentarian. So if the parliamentarian decides that it can't be in the bill, that they're not going to overrule him. Okay, number one. Number two is they probably don't have the votes to do that anyways. I highly doubt, based on what Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, his own words, said he's not going to vote for anything that is not legally in the bill, that cannot legally be done, which basically means if the parliamentarian says it can't be done, he's not going to vote for it. He doesn't want to vote for it anyways, but they may have been able to sway him because voting on the package is for the greater good, and there's always 1 or 2 or 3 things in the package that you don't like. So, one, the Democrats could try to still pass it with the $15 an hour minimum wage, but I don't think that's wise now that the parliamentarian has said this and done this. And two, I don't think they'll get away with it or they'll pass it even if they do that. Okay. So, what does that leave? That leaves next, Democrats try to pass the bill and just remove the $15 an hour minimum wage. Doing this actually probably shores them up more votes in the Senate, okay? And they could literally do that in 10 minutes. You just delete it from the bill. I mean, the bill's on a computer. I mean, let's just be real here. They're not handwriting this thing. They go into the computer, they delete those 10 pages or those 25 pages, the part that, pertains to the minimum wage bill. They delete that out, and then they vote on the bill tomorrow without the minimum wage. Really doesn't seem hard. It really doesn't seem hard at all. But I mean, we're dealing with Congress here. They like to complicate everything. Okay. I think that's probably the best path for them. They might not have been able to pass this anyways because of the 2 to 3 Democrats in the Senate that don't want to pass the minimum wage at $15 an hour anyways. So probably the best path forward is for them to delete that portion of the bill and then vote on it in the House, pass it in the House, and then send it over to the Senate and then get your 50 votes, 51 votes with the vice president. This actually probably makes it easier to pass in the Senate because the most controversial thing in this bill is the $15 an hour minimum wage. You probably either love it or hate it. If you are personally getting a raise, if you make anywhere near $15 or less and you're getting a raise, you probably love it. If you're not, you probably hate it because the cost of goods will go up. If millions of people or businesses across the US have to double the amount of wage they're paying for any minimum wage workers or anybody close to minimum wage that they have, they're going to have to charge more for their goods and their services, and the cost of food and the cost of gas and the cost of everything will go up more than normal. Okay. So you either love it or hate it. So that's your decision. I mean, and honestly, our opinions don't really matter. It's not like if I had an opinion that was totally on one side versus the other, it really doesn't matter because I don't control the votes. Okay. Um, so just keep that in mind. But what does matter is that the parliamentarian says they can't put it in the bill. So that likely means that they're not going to be able to pass it with it. They're not going to be able to overrule her because of what Joe Manchin and other senators say. So they're probably going to need to pass this bill without it. So where does that leave minimum wage going forward? Well, kind of the good thing if you're a fan of minimum wage. I personally think there should be some type of minimum wage raise. We haven't seen a minimum wage raise since 2009, and there's about 40% of the country that still is at minimum wage, the federal minimum wage. States can have their own minimum wage. For example, we've seen Florida just passed a bill for $15 an hour minimum wage. However, it doesn't get there until 2026. So it goes up basically a dollar or two per year until then, okay? So states can have their own higher minimum wage, and a lot of them do. Like 50% of the country does have their own higher minimum wage, but some of them are at $9 an hour, $8 an hour, $10 an hour. Okay, some of them are going to be as high as $15 an hour based on Florida. So what is probably going to happen is they're probably going to pass this bill without it, whether you like that or not. That's up to you. You can tell me down below in the comments. Then I think that they'll probably go with a standalone bill for a minimum wage hike. They're going to need Republican support on that because, well, the parliamentarian says you can't pass it with the reconciliation process at all. Even if it's a $10 an hour minimum wage, you need 60 votes. That's basically what she said. You need 60 votes. So that means you need 10 votes in the Senate from Republicans. How do you get that? By this right here, literally the counter proposal that we had just like 2 days ago from Republican Senators Mitt Romney and Republican Senator Tom Cotton. You need 10 votes. They're proposing a $10 an hour minimum wage increase, and they're also having require to ensure worker legality. So basically, you have to be a quote legal worker with a social security number to be able to get the higher minimum wage. So if you're a quote a legal worker with an ITIN number and you pay taxes with that, that this particular provision would not pertain to you, and you could actually make less than the $10 an hour minimum wage. Now, what's important to note here is just like the $15 an hour minimum wage, this proposal from Republicans will not go to $10 an hour immediately. In fact, we don't even have the details of this. We just know the headline of $10 an hour. Okay, it likely will take 3 to 4 years to get that. They also tried to say, Mitt Romney, that they don't want to increase wages at all during the pandemic. So what does that mean? We don't know when the pandemic is going to end or when it's going to officially end or anything like that. So my guess is if they were to pass a bill like this, that they would probably start in 2022. Okay, so 10 months from now. I personally think that this is what will happen. I think that they'll pass the bill without the minimum wage. That'll make a lot of people happy and a lot of people not happy. It is what it is. Okay, but you'll get your stimulus checks, $1,400. You'll get your $3,000 to $3,600 child stimulus check, the monthly ones, child tax credit. You'll get your unemployment raise of $400 per week. There'll be another $30 billion in mortgage assistance, rental assistance, utility assistance, property tax assistance, and all the different things in there. The SNAP, WIC, and EBT increase, all that good stuff in the package. It just will not include the minimum wage. I think that's the most likely route now that we have this decision. And I think that probably immediately after they pass the package, there'll be a movement to have a minimum wage bill. And my guess is it'll be at $10 or $11 an hour. Republicans want 10. So the real question is, can they negotiate? I mean, the Democrats want 15 and Republicans want 10. Okay, pretty black and white there. So can they get 10 Republicans on board with the $10 an hour minimum wage and all Democrats? Okay, probably yes. Can they get them on board and negotiate a little bit to maybe 11? Probably yes also. So that is what I expect that we'll probably see after they pass the third stimulus check package. I doubt that we're going to see that beforehand, because the third stimulus check package is literally set to be voted on tomorrow, or if it's Friday, today. So they're going to have to scramble and figure out what they're doing, and delete those pages out of there. And if they decide to do that, because they're going to have a meeting in the morning, and they're going to be like, yeah, we can't have that in the bill. What do we do? And Nancy Pelosi's going to sit there, Chuck Schumer, and they're going to look at and Biden, and they're all going to look at each other, and they're going to go, uh, yeah, this sucks. Based on the Democratic point of view. Okay, so, and then remember, we have other Democrats saying that they're not going to vote for it if the Democrats take it out of the bill, but that's if they take it out on their own accord. Okay, even AOC said that if the parliamentarian says that it's not legal for them to have it in the bill, that she's still going to vote for it. Okay, because it's not, the Democrats aren't taking it out on their own accord, on their own their own free will. Okay, they're being forced to do it. So that is what I expect will happen. They're probably going to pass the bill without the minimum wage. Then it'll go to the Senate, which will probably have an easier time passing because the minimum wage bill was very controversial. And then I expect that probably right after that, we'll probably see draft bills or new bills for a $10 an hour or $11 an hour minimum wage, because they're going to need 60 votes from the Republicans to pass that bill. And honestly, they'll probably get it. They'll probably get it. The real question will be in the details. Is it $10 an hour? Is it $11 an hour? How many years does it take? Does it start immediately? Does it go up by like $1 or $2 immediately? Or does it start after the pandemic or in 2022? Those are kind of all like the fine details that we'll find out afterwards. But yeah, we're going to have a lot of breaking news tomorrow. We're going to find out what they're doing with the minimum wage in the bill that's currently in the bill. And now they're like, oh my God, I got to take it out. And we're going to have the vote tomorrow, or we're supposed to have the vote tomorrow. So don't miss any episodes tomorrow. And remember, new videos come out every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m., and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Subscribe down below. It's completely free, so you don't miss out on new videos. And click the bell icon to all notifications, so you get notifications when we go live for the first 3 videos. The 11 p.m. video, you just got to remember to show up for it, because they won't send out a notification for that. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments on the minimum wage. I will have more details for you guys tomorrow, along with the passing and voting of the bill in the U.S. House of Representatives. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have dozens of students that have replaced their 9-to-5 income selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.